Welcome, everybody. It's Stefan Rudolph again from New Foundations Growth Group, and I would like to welcome a very special guest here, Amy Turner, who is the founder of No BS Therapy. Amy, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you, Stefan?
Doing great. I love that we can get together today and talk about your therapy and what you do for people. And I've had the hands-on experience of working with Amy, so I'm very excited today to spread the word of her growth and what she does for people and tell the world about how she can help. So, Amy, tell us a little bit about yourself here.
So my company is No BS Therapy, and what I'm doing is I'm calling BS on traditional therapy because I've been a therapist for well over 7 years, and as much as I've been able to help people figure out, that they are enough and how to love themselves, it just takes me so long. It can take months or years. And I just don't believe that, we are a society where we want instant gratification.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm calling BS on traditional therapy because what I can do in a 90-minute session is help you find out the reason, the root, and the cause of why you have that limiting belief, and then work from there. So, and then also, that's the other thing is No BS Therapy is helping you figure out your BS story. And a lot of people might not even know what their BS story is. It might just be something that maybe they failed at and they don't know why they're a failure. But what's actually happening is it's that underlying wound of feeling like we're not good enough. And so that's what I do, is calling BS on your limiting stories and calling BS on traditional therapy.
Exactly. I love that. And as I mentioned to our listeners, I've had the hands-on experience. What I like to do is work with those who we interview and get on the 2020 Vision Quest here and actually have this feeling of what people are going to go through when they work with you, Amy. And it was really heartwarming, what I went through, and just it dived deep into me, these emotions that I've had that I've been holding back. So it's really good that you're out there helping people like this. Tell us a little bit about your journey in founding your business and your story behind this.
So even though I've been able to help people learn to call BS on their not good enough story and to learn to love themselves, and I am the No BS therapist, I didn't start out that way at all. I didn't call BS on anything. I actually had the PP disease. And do you know what that is, Stefan?
What was that again? The PP disease. Tell me.
The people-pleasing disease.
People-pleasing. That's right. Yes. People-pleasing.
Yeah.
Always. That's what I lived through. That's what you've been helping me. Always trying to do everything for everybody except myself. Exactly.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. That's where we get our self-worth, is from other people. We don't know who we are. We're just like, okay, well, how can I please this person to feel like I'm enough and to feel like they like me? And so that was me. As I just went through people pleasing for so long. And then through that, through college, I found alcohol and I realized, like, oh, okay, I get to party and guys will pay attention to me, because I always thought that when I find a man to love me, I'll be enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just would find all these different guys, and then I'd wake up the next morning being hungover and wondering, why is this happening to me? Why is this all the world has to offer, is just feeling like crap every single morning? And I was doing everything. And the thing with me is, because I was so needy and felt like I needed a man to complete me, that I was like, if you picture it, I was like this leech that like stuck onto you. Like, if you were a guy and you told me that you were interested in me, it was like, okay, here comes Amy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no wonder I was single for 6 years through that, because I had this huge energy of neediness and just trying to be everything to everyone. And I never knew who I was. And finally, I ended up finding an amazing therapist that turned my world upside down and helped me realize that, no, I need to know that I'm enough in myself to be able to attract what I want in my life, instead of attracting what I want in my life and then feeling better. It's the opposite. And so I never was a no BS person. I did everything for everyone. And now it's like, nope, I always ask myself first, like, what's right for me? And now I call BS on things that don't feel authentic to me.
Exactly. Coming out of relationships like that, or just having relationships that don't work. I've been through that too, because I'm that people pleaser. I've gone through that, and you're helping me transform in this. But I know what you're saying. When you look for a relationship and you connect with somebody, but you're like, now what? It's still not fulfilling because you're missing something. And I've been missing something. And that's definitely what you can help people with. And I really can resonate with that. And I know the people that are out there listening now will be contacting you for this, because not only relationships, but maybe you can tell us an example of one of your clients, or even me. We can get into that story, talk about a session that you help people with. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I helped someone, not with relationships. It was more about feeling like he wanted to be an entrepreneur, but felt like there was something holding him back. And through doing a session that I do, so I do this thing called Rapid Transformational Therapy. And through that, what I do is I find out your limiting belief. I take you back into the scenes where you built that belief. And so with him, we were able to see that, oh, he built this belief at, I think it was his whole family's belief that you needed to go to college and get a degree to be a doctor. You're not going to go be an entrepreneur without a college education.
Mm-hmm.
And through doing a session with him, he realized that, oh, no wonder why I've been feeling like that, is because that's what my family taught me. And I was able to distinguish the difference between what is his real truth and what is his family's truth. And he was able to give back that energy to his family, and he was able to take on his entrepreneur energy.
Nice. And that's where you're going to be helping a lot more people out there, because this millennial generation and people coming up are more and more going into entrepreneurialism. And it's a lot of anxiety, right? It's a lot of stress going on when you start your own business.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And just for people to to find their passion, what I went through with you, it helped me. It helped me dive more into my passion and get these blocks out, because there were things that were blocking me. I could feel that. And it goes all the way back. Maybe you can talk more in detail about this. Even our session, it went back to when I was 6 years old, right? 6, 7 years old.
Yeah.
And how you help patients like that, because it was heartwarming, but it just resonated so much to find out, oh, this was the problem. So tell us a little bit about that process, about how you did that with me, because I'm intrigued myself personally.
Okay, so tell the viewers first, what was the main thing that you wanted me to look at to start?
I had a block, and I would say anxiety, stress about doing my own thing, about opening up to people, whether it was a relationship. And I look at business as a relationship too. It was something that I wanted to have this fulfilling relationship in my business and keep growing. But I had a block. I thought I was hurt in the past. I even opened up my mind and said, what happened to me? Was it my dad? Was it this? Was it that? And I couldn't exactly pinpoint it. My conscious was stopping at a certain level, and it wouldn't open up to the subconscious to tell me.
Right, exactly. So what I do is, once you tell me what it is that you want help with, then I put you into a deep meditation to where you go into your alpha brain state. And the coolest part about that is when you go there, your ego, your sabotage, your ego stops, and it sleeps. And then I'm able to talk to your subconscious. And so I asked you, and I said, okay, Stefan, where did you take on this limiting belief of this anxiety and this depression about relationships? And what ended up happening is you came up with a scene when you were 6 years old about this huge decision you had to make. Mm-hmm. And I think you were surprised about that scene showing up, because at the time when you were 6 years old, you didn't realize how big of a decision it was for you. But then it's been playing in the background of your whole entire life about this decision. And I know that you've said that it's limited you of making big decisions in your life because of making, in a sense, the wrong decision at 6 years old. And in my opinion, you should never make a decision as huge of that as 6. You should be out playing on the monkey bars or something. You shouldn't be making a big decision about your mother's future? I mean, I won't give details, you can, but that's what I will say.
Yeah, it was just a relationship decision of who do I like better as a father figure for a new stepdad coming in my life. And that's where I really am just really excited that you got this block out. I mean, I'm going through it right now thinking about it. And when I think about this, it goes back to when a young child is making a decision like that. It's affected their whole life, and it did that. And when you opened it up, I'm going to let the listeners know that this was a very emotional time. The energy in motion, it's called, for emotion. I was crying, trying to be a machismo guy and not cry, but it was something that opened up, and just the floodgates opened. And I got out of that session within the next 24, 40 hours, did more meditation and resonated on what Amy was saying. And it was just unbelievable. So that's why I wanted to, I'm glad you brought this up, and our listeners can definitely relate to this and what you've done. So tell us a little bit more in that area, what you can do for people and what you did for me in relation to relationships and growing.
Yeah. And the other thing, Stefan, that is really interesting is a lot of people don't know this, but our identity is formed between the ages of 5 and 8 years old. Mm-hmm. So it makes complete sense that you made this decision at 6 years old, and then it became your identity the rest of your life, the identity that I can't make big decisions, or I can make a decision, but I can't follow through with it, because you bought into that childhood belief that because of the decision that you made that didn't end up so well.
Yeah.
You're kind of not good enough at making decisions. And that's where I think midlife crises come from. I think it comes from, we have this identity that we were born into, or not born, but from 5 to 8 years old, that we've identified as, and our brain doesn't stop growing until we're 25. Yeah. So just think about that. Our brain isn't done growing. We're between the ages of 5 and 8 years old. It's our parents are telling us who we are. It's our friends, it's society, it's commercials, it's all these things that we take on of, oh, this is who I must be. No wonder why so many people have midlife crises. And here's the thing is, I think they have them even younger than 50. They have them at 20, at 30, at 40, because we've been all living this lie. We've been living this lie about who we've always thought we were. And then when we're not happy, that's when the midlife crisis happens, and then we go kind of crazy and go do these things we never thought, because we're trying to figure out who we really are.
Yeah, because that's what we work for. That's how I feel all my life, working to get a college degree, working to get a career, working to get married, everything else, and then it all falls apart. Now, not for everybody, but a high percentage of people: divorce, getting laid off, losing everything. I've got that whole story. We don't need to go into detail, but you were perfect for that and helping other people. Especially a man. Now tell us, do you help men, women? What's your specialty in that area?
So, I mean, I hate saying that I can help anyone, because that's what most coaches say, but I'm really good with helping men, especially. I think men feel very comfortable with me, because I kind of am that mom figure, I guess, as much as I don't want to admit it, but it's that like soft, compassionate figure, but then it's also the no BS. And so for the last 7 years, I've been working with people with addictions. And I love it, because people that have addictions, they have this huge not good enough story. And, everyone tells them that they're just messing up their whole life, and they're not any good to society. And I'm able to help them see that they are good enough. And the cool thing is about this rapid transformational therapy is I could only take them so far as to having them know that they're enough and love themselves, because the ego steps in and we sabotage ourselves. But with R.T.T, the ego shuts down, and we're able to get there, and we're able to see that every single baby is born knowing that they're lovable, knowing that they're enough. So there's something that happens. There's some belief that is formed in a young age that tells us we're not good enough, and then we make choices that say we're not good enough. But that's not the case. And so I've really loved working with all kinds of addictions, because everyone's good enough. We just make choices because of whatever needs we have to get met.
And I think we come from the same training and background. You know why? Because you were a bartender and I was the guy talking to you at the bar. I just remember like the bartender was always the therapist. If you think about this, when it came to alcohol and or drugs, I was going there to just drink and escape and find a good looking bartender like you and say, hey, give me another beer and talk to you about my problems. And that's what you're doing. And we both transformed over the past few years and come to this level where we're helping others now. And you're perfect for this. I love that.
Yeah, I used to say that I went from serving cocktails to serving sobriety.
Awesome. I love that. Make it a
Yeah.
double.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And so as far as traditional therapy and the comparison too, tell us a little bit more about that, of what you do compared to traditional therapy.
Yeah, so traditional therapy is, I mean, I've been doing it for 7 years, so it's great and it helps a lot of people. So I'm not knocking it at all. I'm just saying we live in a society with instant gratification. We want what we want when we want it. And when I first found rapid transformational therapy, I was skeptical because I've been in the therapy world for 7 years. I'm like, what? You cannot help someone transform and understand their limiting belief in one 90-minute session. This is ridiculous. I have to buy it just so I can prove it wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that I purchased this training because it's blown me away. I mean, I started with just friends and coworkers, and every single person has had a transformation in one session. I think almost every single person has cried or had some kind of emotional release. And it's just blown me away because traditional therapy is, you just talk about your problems.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why we need other people. We need other people to see our limitations so that way we can strive. And if we don't have other people, then we can't strive. So that's what helps with therapy. Now, rapid transformational therapy, or R.T.T, as I refer to it, is we go into the subconscious and we realize, oh, you bought into this belief at this age because of whatever was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And once you have the awareness and you're like, oh, I believed this belief because my brain was protecting me in that moment, but my brain doesn't need to keep protecting me in my adulthood. I'm not 6 years old anymore. I can make decisions,
Yeah.
So that's the difference is being able to talk with your subconscious. And the thing is, your brain doesn't forget what happens to you. It just puts it in your unconscious to protect you, because sometimes it might be too painful. And so you're going around in your adult life feeling all this pain and not knowing why. But when you do an R.T.T session with me, then you have the knowing and the awareness of where this started, and then you can change. You can't change anything if you don't know anything's broken.
Yeah, that's a great analogy too.
Yeah.
You think everything's perfect, and that's another thing, is if you think your life is perfect, nothing's wrong with me, it's because she did this to me in my relationships, this happened, she drank, I didn't want that. There was always an excuse. And like I say, excuse the excuses out of your life, and you have to be able to open up. And that's where you really help me, and I know you're going to help thousands of others as you grow in your business now, to open up their mind and really dive in deep the way you do. It reminds me actually of Tony Robbins too. He used to talk about how quick his therapy sessions were, even on stage, and what he'd do with people. It was so quick that people could not believe it. And this is where you're coming into light here with your launch of your business and everything you're going to be doing for people.
Yeah, and let me just share one more story, because I went and helped this woman. She said she was feeling depressed and anxious for 5 years and had no clue why. And in our session, she we went back to different memories. There wasn't really anything that was talking about, well, why she doesn't feel like she's enough, why she's unlovable. Nothing really showed up. There were a couple things here and there. And by the end of it, I'm just like, okay, well, I guess this doesn't work for everyone. And I felt really bad. I was like, oh my gosh, she really wanted me to help her and I couldn't help her. And I'm not kidding you. About 30 days later, she sends me a message and she says, Amy, I don't know what's happened, but I am so much happier. I have a different outlook on life. I'm going to the gym. I'm drinking decaf coffee. And the best thing is she was almost thinking that she was going to have to end her relationship because of how depressed she was. And she said her and her husband have not been happier.
Wow.
And so
Within
that's
30
just
days, right?
within 30 days. And
Dude.
that's just a test to, even though I thought even though I thought we didn't get anything from the session, it still worked. It
Mhm.
still talked to her subconscious, and it still got her believing that she is enough and that she's lovable. And that's my most favorite story, because I thought I didn't do a good job. And then here she goes.
Yeah,
She's
and some
happy.
my transformation I felt was really quick, but it's the seeds that you planted too. So I was done and thinking, okay, what's going to happen in the next 24 hours? But this next 30 days, that we just did this a couple of days ago. That's a really good view of it. Over the next 30 days, tell me how you feel. Check in with you. That your clients can check in 7 days, 14 days, another session maybe, and just keep you updated all month, and then see what's going on, right?
Oh, yeah. I would love to start with the 90-minute session, have you keep checking in with me. I give you a recording that I want you to listen to for 21 days.
Hmm.
And I would love for all of my clients to come back, have another session with me after 21 days to talk about any changes, what's been happening with them, and then have another session where we do another RTT, because there's more things that get uncovered. So we do another session, go even deeper into the healing, and then have one more 21 days later closing session to see, okay, if there's anything else you want to work on, any other limiting beliefs, or
Hmm.
how are you going to go through life with this?
And
How
I'll
are you
tell
planning
our
your
listeners,
life?
yeah, that's awesome. I'll tell our listeners too. I've been listening to that every night, and in a good way. Sometimes I'll try to go to sleep and it'll take me 15, 20 minutes. I'll be relaxing and deep breathing. That thing has put me out when listening to it. And so it's in my subconscious. It's programming me. And I'll just hear you at the beginning of the session, 30, 60 seconds in. I swear by 2 minutes, I'm asleep. And I play it, and then it stops and I kind of wake up, but I know it's programmed in. So it's been helping every night to just kind of keep reprogramming, what I call control alt delete, right? Resetting our mind and being able to get this new positive growth going.
Yeah, our mind learns by repetition. And that's why I make the recording for 21 days. So you just keep repeating all of these awesome beliefs. So we take out your old story, those old sabotaging beliefs, and we implement the new story and the new beliefs.
Mm-hmm. And that goes along with, I always like to point this sign out behind me. My mom gave me this after my surgery 10 years ago. It says, Journey, the bend in the road is not the end of the road unless you refuse to take the turn. So
Mm.
that's where people are coming to you for, there's a bend in the road and they're not sure where to go, what's going on with me. That's what I was asking. So that's awesome. And if you can give our listeners your contact information and more about you and how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, so my website is No BS Therapy, and my email is nobstherapist@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Amy. It was great talking with you and getting your message out there to the world. We'll be having you back on in a few weeks to keep everybody updated and keep
Awesome.
on growing.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
All right. Take care. Have a
You
good day,
too.
listeners, and check us out on our website on New Foundations Growth Group, and that's under clickforgrowth.com. And we'll look forward to hearing from you again. Take care.